Oops, went too far again.
And yet you speak of weakness?
Yeah, so he's talking about, yeah, if I don't care, like if it takes another civil war to replace you, so be it.
I challenge you to single combat.
Okay, so Malika challenges Raz to single combat, and we're going to go back to our trusty map here again. And just to a little bit of, again, of an overview of the Kingdom of Azaz. So one of the rules of Azaz is that anybody at any point in time can challenge the sitting ruler to single combat if they feel like they have what's the word I'm looking for? If they feel like they have a rightful claim in terms of, okay, this ruler is doing this way, and because they're not doing it this way or they're doing it the wrong way, I challenge them to single combat. It's up to the sitting ruler to accept, and if they do, they can either fight for themselves, or they can select a champion to fight in their stead. So that's the rule of Azaz. And one of the reasons why we started off in scene one with Raz in the courtyard is because Malika, as opposed to rallying the troops and then going to go and fight um, Raz at the Borno province and have more Azazian lives taken because of a senseless rebellion, she decides to invite Raz to the kingdom and for them to settle this thing one on one. That's why Abdul was talking about in the beginning, oh, this is an abomination. A queen must never stoop this low. Malika is like, look, I'm going to put my people above any sort of pride or ego and settle this thing once and for all, rather than sending an army to go to the Borno province and, fight and fight and fight and get people killed and, get more Azazian lives, more Azazian bloodshed. I'm just going to put this on my own self and fight the battle for my entire kingdom. And it just goes to show the type of character that Malika is, and how she always tries to put the needs of her people before hers. I felt like that was one of the cool things as a character that she did for our people as well too. So let's go back to the challenge you.
You win, you are king. I win, and this rebellion is over.
You just made the biggest mistake of your miserable life. Select your champion, my queen.
Now we come to almost everybody's favorite part.
I am my champion.
All right, so this line was it's actually straight from the comics. This is one thing, one of the things that I'm most proud of is writing this line. And just a little bit of backstory. So I have always been surrounded by strong women all my life, from my mom to my older siblings. I have two older sisters, and my wife as well, which I like to say is my secret weapon. And when I first started YouNeek Studios, obviously we started with EXO. That was our first character, our first story. But I always knew that I wanted to create a female superhero that embodied the strength that you find in a lot of mothers, wives, sisters around the world. For me, it was very important to because we don't have a lot of in the entertainment industry as it pertains to fantasy and superhero films, animation. We don't have a lot of female leads. And let's even now go to Black or African female characters. It's almost non-existent. So for me, it was very, very important to get a strong female character like Malika out there, because I feel like a lot of people out there can identify with her. And this one line embodies who exactly this character is. I am my champion. To me, it just speaks volumes on its own. And it talks about all the women out there every day who, despite the world may not be a fair, the world may not be a fair place, they still go out there, they still kill it, they still go out there, they still are still strong, beautiful, majestic, and they basically hold things down. And I wanted the character that embodied that and represented that. And I feel like we've done a good job with Malika because she embodies all that and even more. So this is one of my proud. This is one of the proudest moments as a writer and as a director to be able to put out a line that a lot of people out there identify with. Tons of people in the comments people reach out to me on social media. People wanted to make shirts about it. So it was really really an amazing moment for me to get to because from the comics I already knew it was going to be something very powerful, but getting to put this in an animated film and getting to have someone like Adeswa and Tommy Wellington, who is a champion in her own right, to see it is huge, huge moment, and getting to share it with everyone and the entire fan base was so awesome.
Die! Die, wretch!
I think she totally handled it. All right, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Again, if you've read the comics, you know, I can't remember what volume I actually, it was actually mentioned, but Malika is known as one of the, if not the best duelist, and one of the best fighters in the entire world. And there's actually a reason, there's backstory to that as well too. And we're just starting to peel off some of that story in volume 3 of the graphic novel as to why she's a prodigy when it comes to prodigy, excuse me. Well, she was a prodigy, now she's just a master when it comes to, single combat, and dueling and stuff like that. But one thing that is actually even more fascinating is not just the physical prowess in terms of the skill, but the mental ability to throw her enemies off. You see it a lot in the comics in terms of the strategy that she uses. And one of the things that she did here is, flinging her sword in the air, putting it down, and then stabbing it into the ground is not by mistake. What Malika is doing here is actually she's trying to throw Raz off, basically saying that I'm gonna fight you barehanded, no sword. And then this smirk right here that is coming off like, look, man, I'm gonna take you without anything. This completely throws Raz off. Like, it throws him off. Like, he's no longer fighting with strategy or anything. It's all about anger. He's feeling insulted. That's why he's calling her a wretch and all this, and he's swinging for defenses. I mean, like, even here, it's like his hand is shaking because it's like, look, I can't wait to just destroy this, ridiculous queen who has insulted me, who thinks that she can fight me without, he can fight me even without a sword. And it just throws him off. And you can see he's fighting with anger here. He's just swinging recklessly. And then, Malika spots an opening here. And then she uses her leverage. Boom, boom, boom. And that's about it. Like, honestly, Raz, if you want to talk about just, the physicals, like, he is much stronger, like, physically than Malika. But Malika outsmarts him and then just uses leverage to basically just finish him off as well too. So that's one of the things that I really love about this character, and writing her, is that as much as she's skilled, like swordsmanship and martial arts and the thing and the likes, her mind is actually her biggest gift because she can throw you off, and we'll see more about that in when we talk about scene 3 down the line. Oh, and here comes another favorite from a lot of people: the my head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes.
My head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes, my head.
Oversized camel face.
Oversized camel face. I thought that was funny. Obviously, I did. I wrote it. But look, I mean, we're cracking up when Sambasa was when we was recording that my head, my shoulders, and my knees, my toes. Like, we're just laughing, like, take after take after take. It was just so funny. Even trying to select the best one was so difficult for me as a director, but I'm sure that I'm positive I picked the best one. The funny thing about that whole sequence of my head, my shoulders, my knees, my toes is that it actually almost didn't make it. So when I was actually writing the script, and I was reading it back to myself, I was like, man, are people going to get this? Is it just going to be corny? Is it going to sound silly or whatever the case may be. And I went back and forth in terms of leaving it and taking it out. But I decided to actually leave it. And then when I heard Sambasa, who plays Raz, do the voice, I knew that it was going to be so amazing. I knew it was going to be a hit. And, sure enough, a lot of people, if you look at the comments, on the YouTube page for the film, or even just social media, people always talk about my head, my shoulders, my knees, my toes. Funny story, if you don't know where that comes from, growing up in Nigeria, there was a nursery rhyme that we used to, and I think it may not just be in Nigeria, I'm not sure. There was a nursery rhyme that we used to sing: my head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes, my head, my shoulders, my knees, my toes, my head, my shoulders, my knees, my toes. It all belongs to Jesus. I kid you not. Um, that thing has stuck with me for 30 years. I don't know why, but once when when we're putting together, when if Sinachi sent me the boards, and ironically he had Malika kick Raz in the knees, basically twist his elbow and his shoulder and kick his face. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know why, but I'm glad I'm glad it did, because it actually worked out. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, so here we have the intro of King Bas of Atala, coming up here with his amazing Agbada. It's just so on point, the Agbada. In order for me to let's take this back a little bit again, to this trusty map. So if you look down here, we have a place called the Kingdom of Atala. Even before that, if you I'm sure a lot of you have noticed by now, but if we take this outline right here, this is basically the map of Nigeria. But if you actually look down, if you look at the map, obviously there's no Atala. There's nothing, south of Nigeria right here. But one of the things that I wanted to do was have the opportunity to create my own fictional, kingdom. Obviously you've seen it with places, shows like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, where they create this fictional place. I feel like as a creator and as a writer and director, it gives you a lot of freedom to do a lot of stuff. But the Kingdom of Atala itself is actually inspired heavily inspired by Yoruba culture. So obviously I'm Yoruba, and for people that don't know, Nigeria is made up of three major tribes: Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. But there's over 300 different, tribes within Nigeria. Those are just the three major ones. I've always wanted to do something that was, really inspired by my own culture, like my specific Yoruba culture, not just African and West African culture in general, which is why I came up with the Kingdom of Atala. It's basically Yoruba land. It's amazing some of the things that, I'm getting to do now with the comics. There's a Windmaker comic out right now. It's also on the app, so I encourage you to read that to get more backstory about that character, and also the Kingdom of Atala. But the Kingdom of Atala and the Empire of Azaz, there's an alliance between these two, kingdoms as well, which is why you see King Baz coming, to visit Malika, as well. And then in scene 2 and scene 3, I'll get to explain more about that backstory and why exactly the Windmaker came, and some of the motivations behind that. But I just wanted to give you some more, peel off the layers a little bit and give you some more backstory about the Kingdom of Atala. Let's see, let's go back to that very, very cool intro of the Windmaker. And if you notice, for people that don't know, Agbada is a ceremonial garb that I almost call it grab. Ceremonial. I can't talk today. Ceremonial garb that Yoruba people wear for different occasions and events, whether that's a wedding, a birthday party, or if they just want to, they feel like dressing nice. I specifically own one of this, not this one in particular, although now that I'm looking at it, maybe I should because it looks so good. Maybe I need to call my tailor. But I digress. Yeah, I really wanted to make sure that I got that into I got it into the not just the scene, but this entire pilot as well too, because I feel like one of the things actually that a lot of people comment on is the outfits of Malika, and you get to see more of it in scene two and scene three. But just the costume design, how it blends with the set design, is really one thing that one of the main things that makes this animation, I believe, stand out. It's just the level of the production design is just amazing, and looking at these shots, um, is proof of that as well too. So yeah, really really proud of what the team has been able to put together, and we're looking forward to bringing more to you hopefully in the near future.
And I am personally grateful.
So yeah, this was the scene I had fun writing because obviously if you've seen the entire episode, and if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're watching this, but if you've seen the entire episode, you know that these two are husband, oh, excuse me, husband and wife. Look at that look. Good, that's like my husband. I haven't seen you in a while. My wife, I know I haven't seen you in a while. I love you. Okay, I am sidetracking now. But yeah, it was really fun to write this scene. Because obviously you're throwing people off, like, do these two know each other? Do they not know each other? And then obviously in scene three, we get to see that they're actually husband and wife. So this was basically a setup to be able to put that together. And the payoff is at the end when people are like, wait, what? These people are actually married and they were fighting each other before that? I'll get into that one too as well, because a lot of people have asked me questions about why they're fighting each other. But yeah, I'll talk about that more when we get to making Malika for scene three. But yeah, it was really cool putting this together. And oh, Abdul actually doesn't know. So Malika and the Windmaker, aka King Bass, their wedding was a secret, and Abdul was totally not in the know, which is why it's like, wait, what's going on here? Why are you people looking? You people are looking a little bit too familiar. Can you stop it, please? But yeah, yeah, it's and then if you read the comics, you'll be able to see why they kept it a secret, and actually why that ends up costing them a lot down the line. I hope I'm not spoiling too much. Actually, no, I'm not. There's a lot in the comics that I'm telling you, if you love this animation, you really need to read the comics because there's a lot more in there that I couldn't put into the animation. But yeah, husband and wife, and I will explain more as we talk about the different scenes.
My queen, the council awaits you.
Yeah, so it talks. Abdul is talking about the council, who is waiting. Well, no, who is one of the council members, Doc Barry, waiting for Malika in the throne room. And I'll talk more about that in scene two and why there is a council of five. I think I hinted about it when I was talking, about the map and different kingdoms. But I'll talk more about that, why there's a council of five and how the politics of, Azaz work.
You decided to join us for Unification Day. Rest now.
Oh, one thing that I really wanted to make sure I got across was FemD. Who Femi Agombiade is the one that did the score for this, the entire pilot. Such an amazing job. The music, a lot of people don't know, music can make or break your entire project. Whether that's animation, film, TV series, whatever the case may be. If your music sucks, I'm telling you, it takes so much away. And I was really, really happy I got a chance to work. I worked with Femi in the past. Actually, there'll be an episode of Making Malika where I actually, he talks about the process of making the music of Malika and his inspirations behind that, which is really going to blow your mind. So look out for that. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to be able to be notified when that comes up. But yeah, music is excellent. And also Ubi Productions, they actually worked on the sound design. So the sound effects and everything and the mixing of of everything together, just between both, both parties, they put together an excellent sound job, and it's just one piece of this entire huge puzzle that without it, Malika will not be what it is. All right, as we draw to the end of scene one, there's one last thing to talk about, the Malika logo. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, I believe, this logo was done by Paul Louis Joly, a very talented graphic design animator and also comic book artist. And one thing that I really wanted for the Malika logo was I really wanted something that stood out. I wanted something that people could recognize the M immediately, and also something that was tied to West African history, culture. So if you notice here, these two things represent the tusks of an elephant, and then obviously the swords. The warrior part of Malika as well too, and then those things coming together form the M. So I thought he did an amazing job with the logo. It looks so amazing, and yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's something that I feel really stands out. Oh, and then back to the spelling. So yes, Malika. Did I spell that right? Malika. Yes, I did. Yeah, so it's pronounced Malika once again. And if you missed the backstory, I'll suggest you go to the beginning as to why the spelling doesn't necessarily look like what it sounds like. But yeah, this is the end of the director's commentary for scene one. Expect the director's commentary for scene two to come up shortly, hopefully in the coming week. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer in the next one, please make sure you you put that in the comments. Email me at info@YouNeek Studios if you need to, or on social media, hit me up at YouNeek Studios, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so that I know that I know the questions that you want to be answered. But till then, yes, I hope you've enjoyed me peeling back the layers a little bit to talk about some of the inspirations behind everything that concerns the Malika pilot, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.